You definitely are going to have a tough time with that in the next couple weeks, is those negative thoughts coming in. And no, they're not going to happen. Well, hello friends and spiritual seekers alike. Thank you for joining me. Tonight is the super pink full moon, which is a great time to do these readings. Just going to be cleansing our area a little bit. I've already kind of done my circle, got my altar going, all that stuff. So we got lots of good energy coming in to help with these readings and these messages. So with these messages tonight, it's actually divided out by the zodiac sign. So there's a group for each zodiac sign. And because we're in the full moon today, so April 7th, and tomorrow, April 8th, what we want to do with our full moon is we want to have gratitude of what we have. That's what we want to focus on for these couple of days before we start going into the waning moon. So the first two cards, first card is Love and Light. A little bit of reflection there. So first one is the Love and Light card. The second one is going to be a chakra card. And so these two cards represents what we are focusing on right now and what we need to be what we are grateful for. So what we need to kind of just take a moment to be grateful for these things in our life that we have going on right now that are kind of reaching our peak during the full moon. And then the last three cards, or sorry, the last three decks are going to be what we need to focus on while we go into this waning moon, going towards the new moon, which is on April 22nd. So in the next kind of couple weeks, this is what we're going to be focusing on, or what we should be really putting some attention to kind of get rid of or work on during that time. So the first deck in that set is the Vampire's Tarot. So there's three cards from the Vampire's Tarot. Next is the Sea Melodies Oracle cards. And then there's one of the Gypsy Witch fortune telling playing cards. All right, so I have all the decks, I have all the sets kind of already ready to go. And how I'm going to try to decide which zodiac sign goes to which set is I made these yesterday, actually. I got these little stones, and each one has the little zodiac sign on it, painted on it. And so they're all in here. They're kind of mishmashed a little bit, but I'm going to try to drop these kind of like you would do a crystal reading, where they're going to fall where they may. So some might be right next to a deck, some might be close to a deck. So if they're kind of in a mishmash, I'm going to just try to use my best intentions and my best intuition to kind of direct those stones on where they're trying to go. This is the first time I've used these, so we're going to kind of see. They're a little bit heavy, but I didn't want to use crystals for whatever reason, which we don't always know. I felt like they needed to be on actual stones, so that's what we're going to be going with. All right, so let's try to set up our stones here. Okay, this one definitely goes here. Okay, so the stones are where I think they need to be. Half of them are turned upside down, so I don't actually know which signs those are. Just the specific stones I put where I felt like they needed to be put. So let's turn them all over. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start from the top here and just make my way clockwise through all of the decks. All of the timestamps are going to be in the description below if you want to skip ahead to your sign, obviously. But if you like these types of readings, comment down below what zodiac sign you are, if your reading resonated with you, if it was completely off base. And let me know in the next couple weeks if some of those things that you're supposed to be working on, you actually are working on, and see if, you know, positive things are coming about of it. And make sure you subscribe. and I will see you on the other side at your specific reading.
Hey guys, so just a little update here as I'm editing. So while I was recording this last night, halfway through my battery died. I know, rookie move. I didn't have a backup battery ready. And at 2 in the morning, I wasn't waiting for the battery to charge. So I just left them for the evening and I came back in the morning to do the second half of the readings. It doesn't affect the reading. I just opened up my circle, went to bed, got up in the morning, and when I had time, I closed the circle again. So the cards didn't change or anything like that. I'm going to be doing the readings over with a voiceover because my house is a lot more noisier during the day than it is in the night. So just to kind of mitigate all of the background noise, I'm just going to do a voiceover for these readings. So the video might pause a couple times just to let the voiceover run through for the different sections. And yeah, that is what it is. It happens. It's life. And so that being said, let's get on with it.
So the first reading at the very top here is our Leos. So for your love and light card, we have make time to work, rest, and play. We were filled with laughter and we sang for joy. So this sounds like our Leos here over the last couple weeks, maybe you've been doing this, but this is something we definitely need to just focus on that and be grateful for, that we have kind of having your work, what you've been working for kind of flourish, right? So you're taking time to rest and play, which is kind of easy nowadays for a lot of people because we're, stuck inside and all that kind of stuff. So maybe this is a card just saying that even though maybe it is out of a negative, maybe you don't have a choice that you're being, quarantined or stayed at home, but it's a blessing in disguise, right? So you're taking the time to laugh and enjoy that time. So just being grateful that yes, you may be in this situation due to an unfortunate circumstance, but the silver lining is you're able to take that time and play. And there's definitely an element of children in there too. So maybe it's just being grateful for, even though it's out of an unfortunate circumstance, that you are having that time to enjoy and play with your children and your family. For your chakra card, we have recovery. So I feel like this is a card, this card can go a couple different ways. I think with this incident, it's something is turning a new leaf. So perhaps in the last couple weeks, something was going to happen or was happening that was possibly devastating or felt like it was going to be devastating. Possibly you had a big, hiccup or drawback in some aspect in your life, possibly financial, and it's starting to turn around. So this recovery probably happened in the last few days, or it's going to happen in the next couple days. So with the new moon, with the full moon, it's usually 3 days before, 3 days after. So either it's just started or it's going to happen in the next few days, but there's going to be a type of recovery, and just taking the time to remember that that's happening and being grateful for that recovery for taking place. So those are your two cards in regards to the actual full moon and what you need to be just taking a moment to be grateful for, and just making it into your forefront of consciousness that this is a positive that's happening in your life right now, and just taking a moment to recognize that. So moving on to our negative. So what we need to get rid of now that we're moving into the waning moon. So the Vampire Tarot, I'm going to flip those over. So this is the first card, second card, and third card. So I feel like on this first card here, it's a bit of, which is funny because that goes with the rest card. It's time to stop resting. So you've taken that time to rest, and that gives you time to slow down, smell the roses, play around, all that kind of stuff. But that rest needs to stop now, right? So over the next couple weeks, you need to move away from doing that extra rest and moving back into work. It may not be your work, your job or something like that, but you need to do something productive. And I feel like if you don't, you're going to end up getting into this rest rut where you're going to go deeper and deeper into doing nothing and nothing productive, and it's going to be even harder to come out later on. So in the next couple weeks, my Leos, you definitely need to start looking and working on something productive and getting out of that kind of rest period. You've rested enough, time to get back to work. With the rest, so this is, I don't read cards upside down, that's just me personally. So our next card after that is coming together. Let me just take a minute here. So this is a coming together. It may not be physical, right? But it might be coming out, outreaching. So this could be part with that doing something productive. It may involve other people that are also isolated in their own boxes, essentially, but you need to come joint. There's a joining that needs to come together. And I feel like it may be initiated by you. So I don't see it as necessarily somebody reaching out to you, but you reaching out to other people. But there's going to be some kind of joint togetherness that is, you're obviously not physically together, but there's some kind of joining forces with this card. And your last one of the tarot card. So this card represents for me that kind of that like yes queen kind of attitude, if that makes sense, where yes, you're going to be productive and things like that, but you're definitely going to be still ruling your domain and taking kind of a bit of more of that attitude of, yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to be, driving my own light, and you're going to have a bit of an attitude that comes with it, but it's not going to be a negative attitude. It's an attitude of self-power, self-worth, and just self-determinance, essentially, that is going to drive you forward after the new moon as well. So when that new attitude starts to build up in the next couple weeks as you're doing something productive, and it could be a part of that, like, people coming together, is you're just going to grow a little bit more of self-confidence, and that's okay. That's exactly what you need to do. So it's not necessarily something, it's something you're gaining by letting go of your insecurities and that, that rut feeling when you're not, when you're being a little bit lazier, and you just kind of get into that like blah rut. So we're going to get rid of the blah rut, and then we're going to gain that confidence and that self-worth back. Okay, so those are your tarot. For your Sea Melodies card, we have Dance. Take inspiration from the moonlight dancing on the surface of the sea. So this card, I think it's more of just dancing through. So you need to put action into what we're trying to get rid of and what we're trying to work towards, moving towards the new moon. So again, take inspiration from the moonlight. So as the moon, the physical moon, is waning, just keep it as a reminder and help it remind you that you need to keep in motion. So when we see the moonlight dancing on the surface of the sea, that's motion. It's constant motion. So when we start getting, away from our rest period, you need to get into motion and stay in motion. And for your fortune telling card, so this is hand in hand, indicates confiding disposition when in close proximity. So that's what we're going to be reading, is the close proximity. So this is friendship and love coming towards you, and favor will be found with superiors, near financial success. So it can be financially related. All of our stuff here about like getting into, like moving into action, moving forward, all that kind of stuff. It can be financially related because this card is a financial card as well. But that friendship and that love coming towards you, that can be a part of that connection, right? That coming together of people. So there, it can be threefold. And I think it's based on whatever that action is that you're going to be starting in the next couple weeks here, that getting out of rest period, and you're going to start working towards something again and being productive. So it can bring in friendships, it can bring in love, and it may be a financial success as well. So depending on what avenue you're going down with that action card, because again, my Leos, there's, you know, tons of Leos. It's one of those three, I feel like. So either it's working towards friendships or regaining friendship connections, working towards a love connection, or it could be working towards financial gains as well. So it's one of those three aspects. But whatever you're working towards, you will get back within the next couple weeks. So before the new moon, either it will come to fruition or there'll be major milestones or growth towards that goal. All right, Leo, so that is the end of your reading. So Scorpios, your reading is next. So for your love and light card, we have make the best of every situation. With God, everything is possible. So I feel like with this card, so again, the first two cards, it has to do with the full moon and what we need to take a moment and be grateful for, and just remind ourselves to be grateful for those moments, is making the best of every situation. So I feel like with everything that's going on currently and how it's affecting you personally, I feel like you're taking it all in its strides. You're not being overly stressed. You don't feel like you're overly burdened, and any kind of obstacles that you have been facing lately, you've, you know, had no problem with it. It's okay, here's the problem and here's the solution. Or if there is no solution, then you just accept it, and that's just the way it is, and you move on. You just carry on with your life. So that's definitely something that you need to take a moment and just be proud of yourself. You know, just take a moment and realize, you know, there's a lot of people who are struggling, and there's a lot of people that are having difficulty changing with everything that's going on. And just be proud of yourself that you have been dealing with it so well, and that you've, you know, kind of been taking it in your stride. For your chakra card, we have perfection. And this is not saying that you're perfect, because nobody is perfect. But what it means by perfection is there's a lot of things that are going right for you. And again, nothing's perfect. So I want to, you know, just reiterate that. Nothing is perfect, but it's pretty damn close, you know? And it's perfect to the point where you're content with it. So, and I feel like this is just generally overall. I don't think this is focusing on, you know, a love interest or your finances or your home life or whatever. I feel like bridging overall all of the aspects of your life right now generally are you're content, right? They're perfect in that you're content at the moment, and you're not feeling overly burdened. You're not feeling overly stressed or overthinking things or anything like that. So you're in this state of almost perfection. So those are your two cards for the next couple days, to just take a moment and let yourself be grateful for the situation that you're in right now, and be proud of yourself that you have been able to handle yourself as well as you have. Okay, so moving on into our letting go, our negative cards. And these are the things that we need to focus on, of letting go, moving forward into the waning moon here, going towards the new moon. Okay, so those are your 3 tarot cards. So your first tarot card is this one here, and I feel like this card represents a little bit of gluttony. So maybe you're just, you know, have been eating a little bit more than you probably should recently. If you're a drinker, maybe you've been drinking a little too much alcohol. Not saying, you know, may not be drinking, you know, overly excessively, but more than you usually would. So that's something that, okay, we've taken that time to, you know, indulge ourselves a little bit more than we usually do. And now it's time to kind of move away from that, right? We've had that time. It was good while it lasted. It was a kind of a good break of our normal, you know, routine, but we kind of have to move away from that because yes, it's, you know, it's good to indulge yourself and, you know, treat yourself time and time, you know, time and it's good to treat yourself and indulge yourself now and again, but obviously in excess, it can cause some issues. So that's something we need to work towards the next couple weeks, is just kind of reining ourselves back with the excessiveness and kind of getting back to our normal routine or normal amounts of how we indulge ourselves. Next one here. So this one has an indulgement symbol on here, on kind of figure here as well. And I feel like this is you, and this is possibly somebody in your family. So this could be a spouse, or it could be a close family member that you live with. So this is somebody that you live with. If you live alone and you're mostly alone right now, this is your closest contact. So this could be a significant other that's just not in your home, or your closest family member that you have the most contact with right now. So it's whichever if you live with this family member, or it's whoever you have the closest contact with. And what this is representing is you're going to be reining it in, and the other person may not, and letting go of, you know, the trying not to nag them, essentially, if that makes sense. We're trying not to nag that person. So what we're letting go of is the control on the other person. So even though, yes, you're going to be letting go of your gluttony, you also need to let go of, you know, chastising that person for not letting go of their gluttony. We're all going through this at our own pace. We're all going, you know, we're all dealing with the current situation in our own way. So this is you just sitting in your bliss of, I know I'm taking care of myself. I know I'm happy right now, and just let that person work through their own stuff. You can't control them. We can't, you know, we can't control anyone. So that's life. And just letting go of that, you know, that anger and that annoyance of that person continuing their gluttony. And lastly is this card here, and I feel like this is a fear card. Fear of what's around the corner. You don't really know. So these figures here, we can't see what they're looking at, but I can feel fear coming from it. So over the next couple weeks, there may be things that are going to be popping up that may be driving your fear. So it could be anything. It could be what's going on in the world. It could be something that happens to you or your family, or a situation starts to arise. Maybe something changes that you weren't expecting that can, you know, instill that fear. And that's something that we need to let go, right? We need to let go of that fear. Things will progress as they do in the world and in our personal lives, just like they always have. But we need to work on letting go of that fear. So my Scorpios, I feel like there's some fear that might be coming up in the next couple weeks. And that's something that you definitely need to focus on, is just taking a moment to remind yourself of, yes, it's something that you may need to be concerned about, but you need to let go of that fear, because that fear is just going to fester and grow, and it's going to cause a lot more problems moving forward and down the road than if you just take a moment and just really think to yourself, what is causing this fear? Why is it causing me such distress? And just working towards that. And if it's something that you need help dealing with, then absolutely that is something you need to take seriously and go get help to get rid of that fear. But that fear, it's going to be creeping up. That's okay. Let it in and deal with it. So those are your tarot cards. So for your Sea Melodies card, we have protection. Keep some aquamarine close. Mermaid's tears have been known to create these precious gems. So this is something that I feel like, because we're doing the letting go side of this card, you need to let go of bringing things in that you feel are going to protect you, but don't really. Does that make sense? So maybe you're trying to hoard things. This is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling you're like grabbing items. Maybe you're trying to hoard things, or you're trying to keep things or use things that you feel like are protecting you, but in reality, they're really not. And you need to let go of that mindset that if I just have this, or if I just use that, I'm going to be protected. And it's not true. You need to get rid of that connection, because again, that's going to be driving that fear. So those probably go hand in hand of you need to let go of that mindset that there's going to be a magic thing that's going to help protect you, because that's going to help drive your fear. So no, you don't need all of those items. Those items aren't going to help you in reality. And you're putting too much energy and focus on an object or an item that you think is going to protect you, and that's driving your fear. So those two mindsets need to change, and you need to work on letting go of that mindset moving forward. So for your fortune telling card, we have the card represents the gentleman whose fortune is being told, or the person that the fortune is being told. Although the cards affect it to a degree in accordance to its relative proximity, all of these cards are being read concurrently in this particular reading, and any answer that is no will have no significance. So what that means in the fortune telling, if you're doing a full, fortune telling kind of spread, is if there's any no's that are coming up, it will be kind of counteracted. It means they don't really mean anything. So if while during this reading you have a feeling of, or thoughts were coming up of, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And there are those big negatives, because you definitely are going to have a tough time with that in the next couple weeks, is those negative thoughts coming in. And no, they're not going to happen. Those big disastrous thoughts that you are, and they're coming in and bombarding you, and they're causing fear. And then you have that thought, oh, because I'm thinking about it so much, I'm gonna make it happen, right? I'm gonna wish it to happen because I'm thinking about it so much. Well, no, you're not, right? You're just gonna have you're gonna have those thoughts because the fear is driving them. They're not going to happen. And so that might be something to help you in the next couple weeks before the full moon, before the new moon, is just to remind yourself of no. Let the thought come in, process it, and just remind yourself, okay, well, that was a scary thought, and, let yourself feel the fear and release it, and just remind yourself, no, that's not going to happen. A lot of the things that you're going to be thinking are, worst case scenario stuff, and they're not going to happen, and you're not going to draw them to yourself by thinking it. You can't control what you think. Those bombarding thoughts just happen, but just remind yourself that no, you're not going to be drawing it into yourself just because you thought of it. So that's a reminder of that. So definitely a lot of fear coming up, I feel, in the next couple weeks. So as we're working in the waning moon before the new moon, it's going to be an issue for you, and it's something that you're definitely going to have to spend a lot of energy on. And that might be right before we get to that new moon is when I think it's going to get to its worst. And that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's going to happen, but just take your time, deal with it appropriately and the best you can. And that's all you can really do. Okay, so our next reading is for our Taurus. Okay, so for our love and light card, so remember, these are the things that we need to take a moment and remember to be grateful for while we're still in the kind of new moon. Man, I keep saying them backwards. The full moon stage. So I usually say 3 days before, 3 days after. So this, the full moon cards can be something that's happening over the last couple days or coming up in the next couple days. And something we just need to take a moment and focus on and be grateful for those things being in our life. So for your love and light card, we have focus on your blessings. Yes, you will be enriched in every way so that you can always be generous. So perhaps this is something that, excuse me. So perhaps this is something coming up that you could possibly be in abundance. So you have lots of blessings, you're grateful for everything that you have, and you possibly have enough. This could be time, it could be items, it could be just reaching out. This could be just reaching out to somebody, and you have enough to be generous and spread your blessings. And yes, we get that gratefulness and things like that from people when we are giving them our time or what we have to offer. But just taking a moment to remind yourself and just sit and be grateful that you have the ability to do that. Focus on your abundance, focus on the blessings that you do have. And yes, it's great that you can give out some of that excess that you have in whatever form that means. But just take a moment and be a little selfish, right? Be a little selfish in that you sit and go, yeah, I do have a lot. I do have these multiple blessings, you know, this abundance, and just be grateful that you have that. For your chakra card, you have renewal. And so I think this is a renewal of your spirit, renewal of your chakras, right? So renewal of your energy. So I feel like this is something that has been growing over the last couple weeks, but is definitely coming into a peak over the full moon here. And you're going through a stage of renewal. And this can, and I feel like it's an energy renewal, an energy regrowth. And just being grateful that you have the time, and maybe you're in a situation that you can have that abundance, right? So you're having this full abundance and this overflowing of energy or time that you can give out to others, but it's renewing yourself as well. It's renewing your spirit, it's renewing your energy, and just taking the time to go, oh, thank God I have this time. Like, I'm so grateful. Even though this happened, you know, just because I have this time due to a negative situation doesn't lessen anymore that you have that positive energy coming in and you have that positive change happening. So even if it's driven out of something negative, still and be grateful for those positive changes to be occurring. Okay, so those are our 2 full moon cards. So those are the cards. Focus on the next couple days of your gratitude of those. And now we're going to be moving into the negatives. So these are the negatives and the stuff that we need to let go of into the waning moon, into moving into the new moon. So this is something that we definitely need to focus on letting go of. So for our tarot cards, this is our first one, second one, and third one. I personally don't read cards upside down. That's just me. So for our first card, okay, we got a couple things happening on this one here. All right, so this is your first card here. And something that I see that possibly need to be let go is public perception. This is what I'm seeing. So this is the, you know, yes, it's not a picture perfect family as far as, you know, with our monsters and things, but that's how they're posed, right? And that's what I'm reading off of this is you need to let go of that, you know, we're the perfect family, right? And we're having no difficulties and look how great we are. And There's just, you know, nothing to worry about over here, guys. Nothing to worry about. But I feel like hidden behind, there are some problems happening, or there's so much work involved in keeping this perfect picture and portraying that perfect family, that it's very energy draining, or it can be very energy draining. So I think over the next couple weeks, what this is really representing is letting go of, you know, feeling like you need to portray that, right? It's not real. It's fake, you know, and it could be just difficulties that are happening over the next couple weeks that are really going to push you of, you're just going to be so tired of keeping up the facade and portraying this, you know, this picturesque situation, that it's just going to drain you dry. So we need to let go of that necessity or the need to constantly portray that. You need to let that go. And with that, and these two cards definitely go together, because this is your second card and it's about work, right? So you need to let go of that burden. So if those cards definitely connect, of if you're trying to keep that up, that facade up, it's a lot of work. So you need to let go of that burden, that work that you're driving yourself to do and you feel like you have to do. Well, you don't have to do it. So you need to let it go, because it will drain you. And this last card here is letting go of your two sides. So this represents your, like, almost like your split personality, right? So all of us to some degree portrayed differently in different situations, right? I act a little bit differently when I'm at work versus at home, if I'm with friends versus if I'm with, you know, extended family. You know, you're in every situation, you do, you know, portray yourself a little bit different, or maybe act a little bit differently. And I think this is something that you need to split off from. And if it goes with that facade card, that's why. Because that facade side is, you need to split. You need to split from that facade. And so that could be just being yourself and allowing the vulnerability for people to see who you really are and your current situation and what you're dealing with. And I can tell you right now, when people do that, and when you have the confidence and the, you know, the strength and the courage to do that, you're going to come out with so many positives on the other side. But what we need to get rid of, because that's what we're talking about, is getting rid of stuff. You need to get rid of having those two personalities. You need to get rid of those two, like, distinct, different personalities. And it definitely goes with that facade. We're going to let go of that facade. If we let go of the facade, we're going to let go of the work that you are, and all of the energy that you're putting towards that. And we're going to lose that fake personality. We're going to lose that fake personality, and your true self is going to be able to come forward. So those are your tarot cards. Next we have the Sea Melodies card. And your Sea Melody card is communicate. So things left unsaid will never reach the shore. So usually this card is about speaking up your mind and things like that. And that's definitely bringing things up. So it's not, so because we're in the mindset of letting things go, what this really means is yes, you need to speak up, but it's not just speaking up, you know, of everything that's making you mad or something that's annoying you, and you're yelling at the kids because they're, you know, gone crazy and you just can't deal with it anymore. This is more about communicating about what is troubling you and letting it out. So that's like having a good rant with a girlfriend, right? That's what I think of, like communication that lets things, like that you're letting things go. You need to speak out to let go of your burdens, to let go of your sadness, let go of your, again, your anger, but in a constructive way and in a positive way. So you need to communicate to whoever that is. So that's a friend, a family member, spouse. It could be like a therapist or something like that. But you need to communicate it out and let out all of those feelings, all of those negative connotations and feelings that you need to get out. So this is your fortune telling card. So the lilies forecast a happy life, but family sorrow if surrounded by clouds. So this is based off of what you surround yourself around. So if you are doing what's happening or what the cards are telling you to let go, so you're letting go of that facade, you're letting go of your fake personality, and you're communicating to get out all of your negative feelings and things that you need to get rid of, there will be happiness, there will be happiness on the other side. But if you keep all of that in and you keep using up that energy to drive that facade of the perfect family, and you're forcing everybody else to keep that facade as well, you will be drawing in some clouds, and there will be hardships of that family, of the people around you, and there will be hardships as far as the relationships. There's going to be some resentment and things like that that are going to start to grow. So I feel like this card is your, everybody wants a sign, a big sign on tell me what to do. Well, I'm telling you, it's if you keep driving hard and wasting your energy on that fake facade, you will draw in dark clouds and you will cause problems with your family. But if you let it go, it'll be exponentially positive, and your relationships in the family will be stronger than ever, and there will be happiness at the end of that letting go process. Okay. All right. So that is the reading for our Tauruses. Next one is our Virgo. So for our first two cards, just a reminder that these are our full moon cards. So these are the things that we are bringing into ourselves. Like I like to say, in a full moon, it's 3 days before, 3 days after. So it could be something that's been coming in the last few days or coming up in the next couple days, and things we need to just take a moment to focus on and just be grateful for those things that are in our life right now. So for our love and light card, you have walk away from illusions and toward truth. Show me the right path, O Lord. Point out the road for me to follow. So I feel like this is something that you're already working on, or you're thinking about working on, and maybe you just haven't taken an action yet. And it could be something that you're going to do in the next couple days that is going to definitely concrete that, and you're going to follow your truth and going towards your truth. And there's definitely a spiritual aspect in this. So whatever your spiritual beliefs are, whether you believe in deities or anything like that or not, but there's definitely a spiritual aspect in that, of asking your spirit or your guides or God or whoever you follow for guidance. And that guidance is definitely coming, and you're going to actually follow down that road. So as far as the full moon kind of gratefulness, I think you just need to remind yourself and be grateful for taking the time to do that and allowing yourself to follow that path, and taking the time to, I just need to reconnect. I need to take a moment and reconnect with spirit, and I need to, really see where I'm going, right? Spiritually or mentally, and just taking the time to be grateful that you're taking that new path. For your chakra card, we have growth. So this is new growth, and considering that you have a spiritual card that came up before it, this is probably connected. So the new growth is probably spiritual, and you may have already gone through a new growth recently, or you're in the process of going through new growth, and just being grateful that that's happening, right? And just taking a moment of just remembering maybe how far you've gone, or the new things that you've done, or the changes that you're you're doing or you're working towards. So there's growth happening around this time that you need to just sit for a moment and just, you know, just remind yourself of, you know, yeah, I am awesome, right? I'm great, and I'm doing great by taking the time to do that personal growth, right? And you're not being selfish, you're not, you know, taking away from other things by doing this new growth or working towards this new growth, and just being grateful that you are doing it. Whether it's something that, you know, has been a long time in the making, or it's something that's just relatively new. Either way, it's new growth that you need to be happy that you're taking the time to do. All right, so those are our two full moon cards. So now we're going to move into our negatives and things that we need to get rid of. So these are the things that we need to focus on over the next couple weeks during the waning moon before we get to the new moon on April 22nd. So the first three cards here, these are our tarot cards. So our first one, second one, and third one. I don't read cards upside down, that's just me. So for our first one, so for this card, this means you are doing too much for others. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to stop helping other people completely. That's not what it means at all. It just means you're stretching yourself a little bit too thin. And yes, it's great that you're helping out other people when you can, but if it's over stressing you, or you're stretching yourself too thin where it's actually creating a negative in your personal life or your personal mental health or physical health or spirituality, if it's affecting you in any aspect of your life that you're helping other people too much, you need to let it go. So I feel like you are right now helping other people too much, and that's something you need to let go. It's okay to say no when you need to. It's okay to say, you know what, I have too much going on. I'm already, you know, stretched too thin and I just can't do it. It's okay. You need to take care of yourself. You're number one. You and your family are number one. And it's okay to say, you know what, I can't right now. Sorry, move on. So for your second card, this card I feel like is representing waiting for a new day. So you're maybe in a mindset of like, well, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes, right? And that's something you need to let go of. Tomorrow will never come if you're always waiting for tomorrow. You need to do it today. So I think it's letting go of waiting for the perfect time, waiting for something else to happen first, waiting for somebody else to do something first or something like that. And you need to let go of that. And if you let go of that waiting, then things are going to happen. You're going to go, you know what, that's never going to happen. Or if I always wait, it'll never happen. So you need to if you let go of that, you know, constantly, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, then your mindset will switch to, okay, it's happening now. I'm doing it now. So as far as the letting go, you need to let go of that mindset of it's going to happen tomorrow, or if this happens first, or if that happens first, you know, then I can do this, or whatever it may be. You need to let go of the tomorrow so you can focus on today. This card here, so this is your last one. I feel like this is something that you need to let go of in your mindset, that something is always chasing you. So in this one, something's always chasing you, or that's what's represented in the card itself, like in the picture. But what that represents is, it's a mindset of, this is happening because of this, because of somebody else, because of some other situation that's, you know, outside of your immediate control. Or, you know, I think that's where it goes with this second card here. I can't do this because of that, you know, and that's a mindset that you need to change. It's, you know, you control what you do. You control how you react to situations. You control how you, you know, change situations. If there's something you want to change it, right? It's not, well, it's the only reason this is like this is because they did that. Well, other people are going to do what other people do, right? You have zero control on it. They're going to do what they're going to do, and you just have to deal with the situation as it develops to you. You need to get out of that mindset of, well, it's because. Well, no, it's not. It's because. You need to let go of that and focus on what you want. Focus on what you want to change. Focus on what you want to bring out. And if you let go of that mindset of it's some other outside force's fault that you can't do something, then you won't be limited. You won't be constricted. It won't be following you. It won't be, affecting you. That whatever you feel like is following you or is causing you to not do something won't exist anymore. So you can let that go, let that ideology go, and then you can actually focus on yourself and focus on what you want and actually put into action what you want. Okay? So those are your tarot. Next is your Sea Melodies card. So we have empathy. There's more beneath the surface. So this definitely goes with the doing too much for other people card. You need to let go. Yes, you're gonna have empathy for people, but the problem is you have too much. You have too much empathy, and that's why you feel like you have to help other people to your own expense, right? So this is something that you need to let go. Is that empathy? Yes. Are you gonna still feel that empathy? Yes. And it may, just kind of tweak at your heart a little bit when you have to say no, but it's going to pass just as quick as it came in. And just remind yourself that no, I have to let that go. I have to let go of that empathy. I have to let go of trying to do that for that person or those people for myself. Be a little bit selfish, and you have to be a little selfish, because there's a lot of things that you need to work on. So you have to be selfish right now in the next couple weeks so you can focus on the things that you need to let go. And lastly, your fortune telling card. The money safe indicates riches. If shut side is toward the person, it denotes loss by speculation. So this is an opposite card. So you're not actually going to be losing anything. Even though you feel like you're going to, you're not losing anything. The safe is still open. So the money can represent anything. Usually it represents like our own wealth. So wealth is not just money, right? Our wealth is, the family we have, the home we have, being able to eat every day. That's wealth, compared to other people. So you have to, keep that in relation, but you're not going to lose anything. So your wealth of the things that you have in your life aren't going to go away. So if you let go of helping people too much, if you let go, of those negative mindsets, if you let go of helping people too much because it's affecting you, if you let go of, that waiting for tomorrow, if you let go of, well, it's this fault or that fault, if you let that go, you're not going to lose anything. You're actually going to gain what you want and what you need. So don't worry about it being a loss. You literally have nothing to lose, just things to gain. Okay? So that is the end of our Virgo readings. Okay, so next we have our Aquarius. So just a reminder, the first two cards are our full moon cards. So these are the two cards representing what we need to take a moment and be grateful for. I would say for the full moon, 3 days before, 3 days after. So it could be something that's happened recently or is coming up in the next couple days. So your love and light card is use loving strength and discernment. I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. So this is something that possibly you've been doing recently, is just taking time for yourself, right? Not extending yourself too much to other people, and just taking your time on yourself and your personal path, right? So this could be a spiritual path. It could be things you're doing in your day-to-day life, that you're currently just not overextending yourself to other people. So that's something to just remind yourself and be grateful that you're doing that you're taking the time for yourself. You're not being selfish, and just say like, yeah, I have been taking care of myself. That's what I'm getting from that, is you're taking care of yourself, and that's okay. For your chakra card, we have prayer. So I feel like because the first card came up, this is definitely connecting, is perhaps you've been doing a lot of prayer lately. Now, whatever that personally means to you, right? Whether you pray to a deity or you're doing your current spiritual work. So it could be maybe you're taking more time recently to do meditations. Maybe you're doing more, just having more conscious thought of the future. Maybe having conscious thought of taking time for yourself and doing things that help you grow mentally, right? So that could be that as well. But all of that together, and what prayer means generally is that you are thinking consciously and putting out that intention, right, into the world, into spirit, into whatever you believe in. You're just putting that out. You're putting that out there. You're putting out that intention of, this is what I want. This is what I need. And that's okay. That's okay to take that time to do that. So during the full moon stage here, when we're at kind of that peak of gratitude and realizing what we have in our lives right now, is just reminding yourself that, yeah, it's okay to take care of yourself and to focus on yourself. So now we're going to move into our negative cards, so things that we need to get rid of over the next couple weeks while we're in the waning moon until we get to the new moon on April 22nd. So first thing is your tarot, and we're going to, this is your first one, second one, and third one. I don't read cards upside down, that's just me personally. So first card is this one here. So first thing you need to kind of get rid of, is what I'm reading from this, is feeling dragged down. So this can be definitely going with, now that you're kind of focusing on yourself a little bit, perhaps you're feeling a bit dragged down beforehand, and we need to just kind of get rid of that. So anything that's dragging you down mentally and spiritually, you need to get rid of, because you're falling down, right? You're giving too much, so you need to get rid of that. Second one is thoughts. So this is definitely thoughts of you're taking too much. You're being a bitch by taking the time for yourself and not giving maybe as much to other people that you've done maybe in the past, and just going, no, I don't have the mental capacity to deal with this, or to deal with you, or deal with the situation. So you're not being a bitch, you're not being selfish by doing that, and just letting go. So you need to let go of that mindset that you're acting that way, because you're taking care of yourself, and that's the most important thing. So you're not being, this queen on the pedestal that's, doesn't care about anything else or anyone else. You're not that. You need to let go of that thought, or of that mindset. And our third one here, so this is the mindset that you have. I feel like you have control over other people, and that can go hand in hand with these other two cards, where, well, they're gonna fall apart if I don't do it, right? Like, I have all the control, I have all the power to do it. Well, you don't, right? Like, you don't. So people will survive without you, right? So this obviously doesn't play into like young children, or, people who physically need your help or anything like that. This is definitely a mental space that people are just pulling too much mentally. So this could be situations where, people are always dumping their like mental load on you, or their spiritual load on you, and it's just too much. You need to let it go. You have no control on those people's mindsets, right? If you let them dump on you, that's not changing their mindsets. It's not changing how they're perceiving their situation. It's not changing how they are, facing their personal situations. You have no control on that. So don't feel like you have to do it because that's the only way that that's going to happen, or those people are going to change. It's not. So that's another mindset that you need to kind of let go, is you don't have this, big control on people that it's only going to happen if I do it, or, it's only, those people are only going to be better off, or they're going to change if I let them, dump on me. They're not, right? And again, that's taking away from your mental health. That's taking away from your spiritual health. So you need to just let go of those mindsets so you can allow yourself to grow more, which is something you're definitely working on right now. So just keep those positives moving forward in the next couple weeks, and letting go of those mindsets of you need to let go of the load, and let go of the thought that, well, I have to do it. And it could be people telling you that you have to do something, or you're the only one that can do something. It's not true. So don't let those mindsets, keep you back and keep you behind. So those are your tarot cards. Next is your Sea Melody card. So this one is breathe, break from beneath the water's surface, and soar up beyond the turquoise sea. So this, again, this is something that you need to break through that barrier. So you need to let go of those old mindsets and break through the barrier of, no, I can take care of myself. I can be selfish, even though you're not being selfish in reality. Break through those barriers, and so you can take care of yourself. So for your fortune telling card, you have the Ring. So this can go two different ways. So this can go with disappointment in love, or a strong marriage, or a strong romantic relationship. And I think that definitely goes with the letting go, right? So if you're letting go of some of that control, that other person can grow themselves because they're not relying on you. And if they're growing on their own and they're able to do things more on their own, or they're not relying on you as much, a partner, like an actual partnership, 50-50, or, a more balanced relationship can flourish. If you are forcing that control and you're constantly taking that burden, you're going to start to resent that person. So that 50-50 partnership is going to shift, right? And it probably is already shifted. Considering it's saying let it all go, it probably is already shifted where you're taking too much of the load already. So you need to change your mindsets and let go of those old mindsets, and let go of some of the control, so that other person can grow themselves and you can come at more of a balanced relationship. All right, so that is for our Aquarius.
So for our Cancer, so remember these first two cards have to do with the full moon and the things that we need to just take a moment to be grateful for that we have in our life. And it could be just the, things that you've been working on that are coming into fruition. So I always say with the full moon, it's 3 days before, 3 days after. It's not necessarily on the night of the full moon. So those are our first two cards. So for your first card, Love and Light, is with God, all things are possible. If you have faith, even as small as a mustard seed, you could say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it would move. So what I'm getting from this card is you are seeing the growth or of something that you've planted in the past. So this could be just something in the last few months, could have been last year, and you're seeing the growth. So it's just kind of telling you to take a moment to just go look how far you've come, right? And it can be hard sometimes when you are, done, or you're seeing the outcome that you've been working for. It's hard to remember sometimes of wow, it it came from nothing, or I did, this small little action and it slowly has built up into what I have now. So just taking a moment to remember where you've come and how far you've gone. For your chakra card, we have confusion. So I feel like this is not a confusion that you're in confusion, that possibly you're coming out of a state of confusion. So it could be a state of confusion with your job, your family. It could be situations that were happening around you. So situations that you don't necessarily have control over, but have been affecting you. And so that can be a confusion grown out of like, I don't understand why this is happening. I don't know why this is happening to me. Things like that. And I feel like you're getting out of that confusion. So the thing to be grateful for and to focus on right now during the full moon is that you've kind of come out of that confusion. So it could be just letting go of feelings of confusion, or letting go of the feelings that have been attached to that, confusing situation. Or it's just, and again, just going back to your first card, just remembering like how far you've come, right? Yes, this was all happening and you didn't know what to do, or you didn't know which direction to go in. And that confusion is starting to lift. And that's something that we definitely need to focus on, because as we move into letting things go, after that, when we move back into our waxing cycle after the new moon, then we're going to be going into things that we're going to be bringing towards us. So that lack of confusion, or moving past that confusion, will put you in the right direction of where you need to go during that time period. So these are your negativity cards. So these are the things that we need to focus on letting go during the waning moon as we move into the new moon on April 22nd. And so the first things we have are your tarot cards. So for your first card, so this card is telling me that you are on a path and you're getting very tired. So this is something that you've been kind of putting a lot of energy in, and you're kind of, trudging down this path, but you're getting very tired. You've put a lot of energy into it and you've lost the passion, you lost the drive, and you're kind of in this state of, well, I've gone so far and I've put in so much work that I might as well just keep going and hope that something happens, or hope that I get to the end. Well, this card is telling me that you're not going to reach the end. You're wasting your energy and you're wasting your time. So yes, you put in all that energy and that time up to this point, but you need to just cut your losses and move on to something that is going to benefit you. So yes, as far as the letting go, you need to just let go of what you've put into it and what you've done so far, and just cut your losses, because you need to move on to something that's actually going to benefit you. For your second card, so I see this as a self-reflection card and taking the time to self-reflect. And as far as the letting go aspect of it, I think this is just letting go of any guilt or second thoughts about giving yourself that time to self-reflect. So if it's like, well, I really feel like I need to just sit and just, collect my thoughts, take a moment for myself. But then you go, oh, but, this needs to be done, or I need to do this and I need to do that. Those will be done eventually. You need to let go of that, but this and that and this and that. You need to let go of that and give yourself that time, because you need to do the self-reflection during the next couple of weeks, so you have a better idea and a better idea, direction of where you need to go and what you need to bring into your life when we get into the waxing cycle after the new moon. For your third card, so I feel like this is somebody who has power over you, and this could be somebody in your family, it could be a spouse, it could also be like a coworker. And this is not power as in like a supervisor where they have, they technically have power over you, but that's more of a hierarchy kind of structure. So that's the kind of power. It's not negative, right? It's just part of organization. So this kind of power that I'm seeing in this card it's negative, and you are being stifled and you're actually being limited due to that power. So as far as letting go, either you need to let go of that person that's holding that power on you, or letting go of them having that power. You need to push back. You need to, people can try to have that power over you, but they only have as much power over you as you let them. So you need to let go of that dynamic, that power control dynamic, and not let them have that power over you. So that could be just straight up cutting off that person, or just saying like, you know what? I'm not going to do what you say. I'm not going to do what you say anymore. And either that person's either going to accept that or they're going to move on. Either way, you need to cut that power control that you have over you. Okay, moving on to your Sea Melodies card. So we have reflect. Peer into the endless ocean and see what peers back. So again, ties into that self-reflection. I feel like there's a few aspects in your life that you need to take a moment to really see what's going on. Is it really benefiting you? All of these cards that are coming up can definitely be connected, right? And you need to self-reflect and see what actually comes up for you. When you think to yourself, what do I really want? Like, you know, I am doing this and it's not working. I have this power over me and it's not benefiting me at all. It's like, what do I want for my life? What do I want out of this? And you might be surprised on what comes up. It might be something that you've, you know, put in the back burner, that you've kind of forgotten about, that you really need to put energy into. Or it could be something completely out of left field. And sometimes you need to have that sharp change in direction to go towards the positive and bring those, you know, that love and that light into your life. But you need to go through that self-reflection over the next couple weeks to know where you need to go. So for your fortune telling card, so you actually got the extra joker. And so what the extra joker means in those fortune telling cards deck means whatever wish that you want, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So, and I feel like that definitely goes with your first tarot card there about putting energy in where it's not going to come into play. So whatever you're wishing and hoping to come out of that, it's not going to happen. So you need to just cut your losses, and you need to really self-reflect on what you actually want in your life so you can move forward and start putting into action the things that will bring about that result. So that is for our Cancers. Okay, so next we have Libra. Now for my Libras, this reading is harder for me because I am a Libra and it's hard for me to read myself. So they can come out a little bit muddled sometimes when I'm reading Libra, and I just apologize for that. That just is what it is. I'm limited on reading myself, and I am a Libra, so that there could be some limitations in this, but we're going to do our best. So remember the first two cards that has to do with the full moon and what we need to take a moment for and be grateful for that we have in our life right now, or what we've brought into our life right now. So I always say with full moon, it's 3 days before, 3 days after. So it could be something that's recently kind of come up or can be coming into fruition over the next couple days. So for our first card, you have your love and light card, and we have cooperation and partnership bring great rewards. Two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. So I feel like there is a partnership that is coming into full cooperation, and that cooperation is part of your day-to-day life. So it's not something that you have to work at, right? It's not a partnership that it just feels like it's constantly work. It's you've kind of found your flow, right? The two of you have found your flow and you're working together cohesively, and everything is just flowing along nicely. And that's something to remember and be grateful for, that you have that cohesiveness, because in the past, it probably wasn't like that. And it's hard to, when you're in that kind of bliss state that you're in right now, it's you just need to take a moment and go, yeah, we've grown a lot, not just myself, but the two of us together, right? We've grown a lot to get to this stage of partnership, true partnership that we're in right now. For your chakra card, you have release. So this is a release of, I'm seeing grief and loss, and just releasing those feelings and being held back by those feelings. And that's definitely something that is reflecting off of me personally, that I've definitely gone through that stage the last couple months, and it's coming into full fruition around this time. And that's just, you're releasing the things that hold you back because you're grieving, because you're holding on to those old ideas, those old, feelings, and those, limiting yourself because you're in this state of grief. You're letting that go. So a lot of that release is going to happen if it's not already happening. And just take a moment to go, you know what? I have overcome this. I have worked through this. And just remember, over the last, few months or could be years of, I was holding on to a lot of grudges or a lot of those negative feelings, and it was just dragging me down. And look where I am now. I have, I'm releasing it. I'm not being limited by it anymore. It's not dragging me down anymore. And just taking a moment to praise yourself for getting through that. So for the next cards, these are our negativity cards. So these are all the cards and things that we need to work on getting rid of over the next couple weeks as we move into the waning moon before the new moon on April 22nd. So those are things that we need to work on letting go so we can clear ourselves to focus on what we need to bring towards us when we move into the new waxing moon. So for your first tarot card, so this is actually a blank card. So tarot cards, well, not all tarot cards, but some decks come with like an extra card that has like some explanations on it, and it's got some art on it. So I actually leave that in my deck and I read it as a blank card, because sometimes you just don't need those 3 cards, right? Sometimes you just don't need those. So that actually came up for this. So that is just a blank card. That just means you don't have an extra thing that you have to get rid of. So yay for us, we don't have to work as hard over the next couple weeks as the other guys. So we got the blank card, which is awesome. So we're just going to ignore that. So moving into our second card, this is looking at, so it's the Ace of Cups, but I read it as your blood, sweat, and tears, right? And you've kind of built them up and you're holding on to them, of like, look at all of this pain and sweat that I've been working on, that I've pumped out and whatever. And it's like, no, this has to do something. This work has to come into something. Well, it doesn't. That's not how the world works. Just because you're working hard doesn't mean you're gonna come with something else. I can squeeze a stone. I can take some sand, squeeze it as hard as I can for as long as I can. Doesn't mean glass is going to come out, right? It doesn't always work that way. So what this really means as far as letting go is we need to let go of that. No, this should work. This should be materializing into something. It's not. You need to just let go of, yes, we put our blood, sweat, and tears into something, and we've worked really hard in the past year, past few months, but that is what it is. We need to just let it go of, yep, that time was spent doing that, but we need to let it go to move forward. That old work, and yes, we used up that energy, but that doesn't mean we don't have energy moving forward. You haven't used it up. It's not all gone. But that old work, you just have to let it go. You have to let it go. It happened, whatever. It was a hard year. That is what it is. Just let it go. It's in the past. You have enough energy and, blood and passion to move forward. For your last card here, we have, so this is a love card for me, and it's just more of, that picture perfect relationship, right? And so as far as letting go, we need to let go of that feeling of, well, I'm never going to have that, or I need to have that to be happy. No, you don't, right? TV relationships aren't real life. We're not going to have that. I'm not the Little Mermaid. You're not Cinderella. It doesn't work that way in real life. So this is letting go of that old ideology of like, well, they should be like this. They should be doing this. They should be doing that for me or whatever. Because you're putting that projection of unobtainable expectation on that person. And that's affecting your representation of them. That's affecting your view of them. And that's not fair on that person. It has nothing to do with that person. That has to do with us and our mentalities. So we need to let go of that, movie, magic, fake relationship that we think we're supposed to have. You need to let go of that. And when you don't have that expectation on that person, you will actually be able to see them for how great they already are. And if you look at that relationship card that we just got in our positives, we're in a great partnership. We're in a great place right now with our partners. So you need to just not put that expectation of them. And keep in mind, this is not necessarily a spouse. This could be a sibling. It could be a family, like another family member, like a parent. It could be a coworker or a really close friend, where that partnership is great, but you're still kind of putting that, well, maybe they, well, I wish they did this, I wish they did that. You can't do that. You can't put that on them. All right. Moving into our Sea Melodies card. So we have travel. Seeing the surface of the ocean is not the same as diving deep to see the coral. Now, as far as the negativity, this has to do with travel that has been lost. That's what I feel. And I could be just reading myself. I know that's hard when I'm reading my own zodiac. But I lost travel, right? Travel plans have changed. A lot of travel plans have changed, not just, going on a vacation, but like going to visit family. That's all changed, right? I can't do that anymore. So as far as you need to remove and let go of that loss, right? It is a loss that we can't do that, right? So you need to let go of, we can't do that. You need to just let it go and not dwell on, well, today I would be here if it wasn't for, everything that's going on. I would be this, I would be seeing this person, I would be whatever. You're just festering those negative connotations. You're just festering it. So you just need to let it go. And you know what? It just didn't happen. It didn't happen. That is what it is. You just got to let it go. Moving into our fortune telling cards. So we have the fish is the emblem of riches through stocks. So what this is telling me is that, so stock, you know what I mean? Like the stock market, you put in a little and you get a lot. That's the whole, that's the hope for stocks, right? You put in a little and you get a lot. Well, this is telling us that something that we've put stock in, that we've put, energy in, or we've been working on, that's going to come, it's going to come back. It's going to come back threefold, because most stuff, it's threefold, right? So most of that stuff is going to be coming back threefold, and it is going to come back to us. So whatever we've put stock in, whether it's emotional stock, financial stock, physical stock, it will come back to us, which is great. That's a positive. All right. So I think that is the end of our Libra reading. All right, for my Pisces. So remember, the first two cards has to do with the full moon and what we need to take a moment to just be grateful for and remind ourselves that we are grateful to have these in our life right now. And I always say with the full moon, it's 3 days before, 3 days after. So it could be things that have already kind of come up, or it could be coming up the next couple days. So for our first card, the Love and Light card, we have connecting with the living water. The sea belongs to him, for he made it. His hands formed the dry land too. So this is a reminder of looking at your life. So in the cards, it's referring to God, but for this reading, it's referring to you, right? Look at what you've made. You've created what's around you in all aspects, right? So like you've created what's around you physically. You've created what's around you mentally. So like in your connections with your friends and connections with people that are around you. Look at what you've created for yourself in your life. And I feel like you're at a stage that, you may not necessarily be exactly where you want to be, but I think you need to just take a moment to be grateful and realize what you have gotten, what you have created, and that you've created what you have so far for yourself. And yes, it may be, not exactly what you want or not as much as you want, but don't forget on how far you've already come. For your chakra card, we have creation. So this is, again, like I just said with that card, is look at what you've created for yourself. And there may be some actions that are coming into play that you're growing more creation for yourself, where in whatever aspect that is. You're creating more abundance for yourself in some aspect. So that abundance is it's gonna come towards you, but just taking a moment to be grateful and remind yourself of, this is what I'm doing. I'm putting these, these intentions in place. I'm doing these actions to grow this. I'm creating more growth for myself, or you're creating something new for yourself, and just taking a moment to just be proud of yourself and go, yeah, you know what? I'm good on me. Good on me for doing that and creating that for myself. So for your next cards, so these are our negativity cards. So these are the cards telling us what we need to try to let go of over the next couple weeks as we're going through the waning moon before we get to the new moon on April 22nd. And the first ones are our tarot cards. So for your first one, this tarot card is, so I'm feeling a hard stance on this one. And so I feel like this is something that you need to let go of, I'm the boss. That's what I'm getting from this. I'm the boss. I say what goes. And if you want to be in my corner, you need to follow the rules. You need to follow my rules. Well, that's something that you need to let go of. That's a bit of a power struggle that you need to get rid of. You need to let that go so you can allow people to come in and work cooperatively with you. And that's the problem. Anything that you can grow that requires cooperation can't grow right now. It can't happen because you have this stance of I'm the boss. So you need to let go of that. So more growth as far as involving other people and other aspects of your life as far as different directions can actually flourish. For your second card, so this definitely correlates with the first card of having that hard stance. So you're drawing a line in the sand somewhere. It could be with a person, it could be with a group of people, or in your job where you're like, if this happened, like I'm drawing the line here. If this happens, or if they want me to do this, that's it. I'm done. That's, I'm drawing the line. Well, again, drawing that line makes sure that people stay on the other side of that line and not on your side, right? So those definitely go hand in hand. You need to let go of that I'm the boss, and you need to get rid of that line, because if you make them stay on that side and you're on this side, no cooperation and no, connection can happen. So you need to let that go. And going in with that card as well. So these three cards definitely go together. They are all talking about the same thing. So the third card here is fear. You have a fear of letting go of that power and letting go of that line in the sand. But again, you need to let that go. You need to let that fear go, because I think you're going to be very surprised on how great people are going to surprise you on how cooperative they're going to be, how nice they're going to be, and what they're actually going to bring into your life if you let them. So you need to let go of that fear of letting go of that control, because the fear that you have is holding you back from getting the positives that it will bring you if you let go of that control. So moving into your C Melodies card, we have prudence. Don't be lured by the siren's call. So usually in a reading, this is, be careful, but in this card, it's, you need to listen to it, because we're talking about negativity. So we're talking about opposites. So what I'm hearing is so I think people are already trying to get you to do things, trying to get you out of your bubble, trying to get you to like, oh, come try this with us, come join us with this, or, try to do that. And I feel like because you have that I'm the boss, and, you're kind of cutting people out a little bit, you're not following it, but you need to follow it. You need to go in. So again, it's not a siren's call. That's what you need to let go of. It's not a siren's call. They actually have good intentions and good, they have your best intention in play here, you know? So it's not a siren call. You need to just, you know what? I will try that, or I will join you on this, and go for it. For your fortune telling card, we have roses indicate beauty and rugged health. So this is, and that could be part of your fear, is you have a fear of like your when I hear beauty in this, I'm thinking of like your self-image, right? If you let yourself be a little bit more vulnerable, and you let yourself, you know, let people in, you know, your public perception will be changed. Your beauty, your facade, your vanity will be changed, but it's not. You have that great beauty, and it's rugged, right? It's rugged, it stands. That's people's perception of you aren't going to change negatively, you know, because you are being more friendly and being more cooperative with people. That's not going to happen. And your health, the health of your self-esteem is not going to change. All right, so don't worry about that. So there's a lot of letting go of control for my Pisces moving over into the next couple weeks. Okay, my Capricorn. So for your reading, so remember these first top two cards is to do with the full moon, things that we need to take a moment to remember to be grateful for, and things that are kind of going on in our life right now. So for your first card, the love and light card, we have focus on God's love. Make every effort to keep yourselves united in the spirit, binding yourselves together with peace. So I feel like this is something that maybe you've been doing over the last few weeks, that you've been really, you know, reaching out to God or spirit or, you know, whoever your kind of deity is, and remaking that connection and growing that connection. Now, making that renewed connection may be due to a negative, you know, situation, but nonetheless, just be grateful that you have the time to do that connection and just feel that connection growing. And that's going to bring you peace moving forward. And it might have brought you peace already, and you're not feeling as anxious as you were previously. So just taking that time to be grateful that you do have that connection to bring you that peace at this time. For your chakra card, we have despondence. Now for this card, I feel like there's like a jealousy aspect here, and I feel like that you've maybe moved away from the, you know, jealousy of others, right? And I feel like we all do it sometimes, where people are jealous of us, and we kind of do one of two things. We either, our ego grows, and then our ego is getting a little too big and that can cause some problems for us. Or, you know, we feel like we should downplay what we have and not be proud of what we have or what we're doing, because we don't want to create jealousy in others. But this is something I think you're moving away from and not letting it affect you as it has in the past. And so this is something to just be proud of yourself, to, you know, I'm doing my own thing. People are going to do what they're going to do. People are going to think what they're going to think, and just moving away from that affecting you. So just reminding yourself that, like, hey, I've kind of grown in this aspect, and just be grateful for that. So for your next cards, now remember, these are our negativity cards. So these are things that we need to work towards letting go of in the next coming weeks, when we're getting into the waning moon before the new moon on April 22nd. So these first three cards, these are your tarot cards. Now for your first one, so this card, so this is kind of telling me that you feel like you have to fight for something, and you're putting a lot of mind power and a lot of energy into, you know, you have to fight this battle, you have to fight it, and you're worried about it. It's in the forefront of your mind of, you know, I need to protect myself, protect my family, you know, it's a battle that I have to wage war on, that I have to, you know, constantly be fighting for, and that's going to drain you really, really quickly. So that's something that you need to try to work on letting go of, is that you don't have to fight so hard. You don't always have to fight. So that's something that you need to let go of, is that always being in that kind of offensive mode. Now moving into your second card. So this is going into your protection side. So you are protecting yourself. You are protecting your family. So this is connected definitely to the first card, where you don't have to fight so hard. You're wasting your energy, and you're going to drain yourself. You are being protected. So this is what the second card is telling you, is you are standing guard of what's important to you and what you're trying to protect, and you don't have to fight so hard for it. Okay. Moving into your third card. So all of your cards is about protection and in a battle type scenario. So in your third card, this is your kind of victory over whatever you're trying to fight or defend yourself against. And again, you don't have to work so hard for it. So I think what these three cards are trying to tell you together is you don't have to waste all of your energy with this offensive mode all the time. You are defending yourself and your family, whatever you're trying to protect, it will be protected and you will be victorious in the end. So as in regards to letting go, you need to let go of that constant, in the forefront of your mind, right? It's not something that you need to focus on so hard to make come about. It's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen. You're gonna be protected and you will win in the end. It's not something that you have to put so much energy in. So it's something that you need to try to turn your conscious mindset in, is so you're not focusing on that all the time. Moving into your C Melodies card. So we have Wild, believe in your overworldly beauty, dance with the waves, and drink in the sunshine. So as far as letting go, I think this card is letting go of the outside perspective, right? Of, I need to do this, I need to do that. Or there could be things that you want to do that you can't. And that's something you just need to let go of. It's, it is what it is. You can't do it. So as far as like drinking in the sunshine, I think that's the biggest part of this card that is resonating to me, that you need to let that go. You're not going to be able to do those things that allow you to, drink up the sunshine. And that's just the way it is. You have to just let that go, that idea, and that, the resentment that you can't do that. Because again, it's just going to fester and create more issues for you mentally. So you need to just let go of that mindset and let go of those thoughts. For your fortune telling cards, we have the Tower surrounded by clouds denotes sickness, and if adjoining death. So this is what that reads is when you're actually doing a full fortune telling spread with this deck. Now, what this means is when it's surrounded by clouds. So moving back to those three tarot cards, if you stay in the mindset that you are in right now of I need to work so hard and I'm going to do everything I can to defend myself, you're going to drain yourself to the point that you're not going to be able to do it properly. You're not going to be able to do what you want to accomplish. So you're actually going to end up drawing in the sickness because you are extending yourself to the point that you're not going to be able to do it, if that makes sense. So if you want, and with the current situation, I feel like this is something that's definitely in the forefront of your mind. You're so worried about getting sick or somebody in your family getting sick that you are doing everything in your power, but you're overdoing it to the point that you're actually creating more possibilities for you to get sick or a family member to get sick. So you need to don't bring in those clouds. You need to step back, and you are defending yourself. You do not have to overdo it. You do not have to be constantly doing X, Y, and Z. You need to step back a little bit and really focus on what you need to do versus, doing everything, because you will draw it in. So take a step back of what you're doing. You don't have to do everything that you think is helping you. You need to scale it back a little bit and act more realistically. That can carry you on long term, something that you can actually do long term. So over the next couple weeks, you need to kind of step yourself back a little bit while we're in the waning moon, and just let it pass. It will pass. You will be defended. Your family will be defended, and you will be victorious in the end if you let go of that over control. Okay, my Sagittarius. So for the first two cards, remember these are the full moon cards. So these are the things that we just need to take a moment to remind ourselves that we have this in our lives, send out gratitude for where we are in our lives right now before we start moving into the waning moon. So I always say with the full moon, it's 3 days before or 3 days after. So these could be things that have already been kind of coming into place or will be coming into place in the next few days. So for your first card, Love and Light, we have face your future with boldness and strength. As soon as I pray, you answer me. You encourage me by giving me strength. So I feel like you're moving into this time with great strength and you are facing the future with boldness. You have confidence. You are bold in your abilities. You have the strength to move forward into the next stage here of the moon. And so just taking a moment to just recognize that you do have that strength and be grateful that you do have that strength. And of course you can always call onto spirit or God, or whoever else your divinity deity is, that they're always there to renew that strength in you, and you can always call on them. For your chakra card, we have balance. Now in this card sometimes can be a negative, but we're looking at it in a positive connotation. So I feel like you do have balance in your life right now overall. So that balance right now is not being askewed. That could be something that you've been working on and you're just kind of getting into that bit of a balanced state. And that could be why you are looking at the future with such boldness and strength, is because you've balanced out and things that are, things around you are balanced. So again, we just need to take a moment to just be grateful that you're in this state of balance right now, and recognize externally that you are in that state of balance, and you can hold on to that and take that forward into the next phases. So for your next cards, now these are our negativity cards. These are the things that we need to work on trying to get rid of now that we're going into the waning moon until we get to the new moon on April 22nd. So these are things that we need to focus on letting go in the next couple weeks. So for your tarot cards, so this one is your first one. Now, this card is showing me that you're feeling a little bit secluded. You're feeling kind of like in the outside, right? You're outside of other things that are going on. And it could be things that you were supposed to be involved in. Maybe you've been kind of sent out for whatever reason, but you're feeling a little bit exiled. Now, this is definitely something, the feeling you need to just kind of accept. Yes, you're going to feel this way for a while, and that's okay. But you need to let go of those feelings as if it's, it's going to be forever, or, you're never going to get past it or anything like that. Those kind of feeling like an outsider, feeling like you're being left out, you need to let those feelings go. A lot of the things that are going on that's making you feel like that are completely out of your control. So if they're out of your control, then don't let them control you, if that makes sense. So for your next card, so this is finding a renewal of being alone, or being, so for your next card, this is a feeling of being content when you're alone. That's what this card is going to bring you about. So with these two first cards are going to come together as if you kind of let go of those feelings and not letting them affect you, then you're going to gain this renewal of acceptance being alone, and you're going to have a new growth of doing things that are more personal to you, that don't involve other people. And you may actually have a little bit more of a sense of being by yourself, right? Maybe it's something that you've had difficulty with in the past, like being alone was just like extroverts, right? Extroverted people have a real hard time being alone for extended periods of time. But there's positive things that you can do. The self-growth that comes about by being alone can only be achieved if you're alone. So, and being happy and content in those moments. So that's something that's going to come to you if you let go of those, being an outsider feelings. Those contentment of being by yourself will come, and there'll be a lot of growth involved in that. So your last card here is there's a type of leap of faith happening. So as far as like letting go is concerned, there is no leaps of faith that you have to take. So there may be some situations, or maybe a situation coming up, or that is maybe you're facing right now, where it feels like you have to take a leap of faith. You have no choice, right? It's you don't know what's going to happen either way, but you feel like, well, I just have to jump into something. But there really is no leap of faith. If you take the time to really look at those choices, or really look at what you're doing, and that might be a part of that self-reflection too, that you kind of need to direct yourself toward. That leap of faith won't seem so scary, and it won't feel like a leap of faith. You know, if you know what you're jumping into, then it's not a leap, it's a step on the path, right? So that's something you need to let go of, is that, you know, screw it, I just have to do it, or screw it, I just need to jump in. It's you really don't have to take that leap. If you slow down and take some self-reflection and reevaluate the situation, it won't feel that scary. So for your Sea Melodies card, we have Voyage, set sail on a new course. So because we're looking at negatives, that's going to be the opposite of that. So, and that definitely goes in with that leap of faith card. You don't have to take a new path. You don't have to change something drastically. If you take a step back, I feel like there's a way that you can stay on the course that you're on, the path that you're on, and just reevaluate it in a different light. Do some self-reflection and reevaluate the situation, and it won't feel like you have to take a leap of faith or make a big right turn. You know, you just need to stay your course and just look at it in a different light. And lastly, for your fortune telling card, we have the park foretells a new love when very near, if distant, false friends. So that outread is based on, like, if you're doing a full fortune telling read, but I think it's the love. So a new love falls near. So this may be a completely new person, or it could be just a renewed love in somebody that is close to you right now. And that might come about with that new self-reflection that's going to be happening. So if you're not focusing on and driving out of, like, I'm not being included, or I'm not, you know, I wish I was here and I can't be, and whatever, if you're not throwing out those negative instincts, right, and those negative energies, then there's room for that new love to come in. And if you're self-reflecting and starting to become content with yourself, then when the new love comes in, you have room, you have the mental capacity to welcome that new love in. So I think, as far as thinking of the, like, getting rid of and the negative stuff, I think that just all of those cards kind of work in together. Is if you do this and let this go, then this is the positives are going to start coming towards you. Okay, so next we have Aries. So remember, these first two cards, these have to do with the full moon, and these are things that we just need to take some time to be grateful for, and just recognize that we have these positives in our lives right now before we start looking at the negative and what we need to work on in the next couple weeks. So for your first card, the Love and Light card, we have express yourself through creativity. Praise his name with dancing accompanied by tambourine and harp. So I feel like this is something you've been working on in the last couple of weeks, or maybe in the next few days. I always say with the full moon, it's 3 days before, 3 days after. So maybe you're growing your creativity right now, or you're taking the time to do creative activities. And that's exactly what you need to do at this time. And it could be just sending out gratefulness that you have the time to do these creative outlets, and that you're growing these creative outlets right now. For your chakra card, we have enlightenment. Now, these two might be coming in together, whereas because you're taking the time to do these creative outlets, your imagination is taking flight. You're maybe discovering new creative outlets, and that's going to gain some enlightenment. It could be gaining enlightenment of, you know, I really enjoy doing this. I should have been taking the time to do this before, and I really should focus on, you know, when things get back to normal life or normal-ish life, that I should, you know, take the time to do this because I really enjoy it, and it's, you know, something that's helping me mentally, or things like that. So that renewed enlightenment could be definitely tied to that, taking the time to do those creative outlets. And so overall, this is just taking a minute to just be grateful that you're doing these and that you're gaining these new enlightenment, this new enlightenment, and that you're gaining this new perspective on what you spend your time on in your day-to-day and things you spend your time on in your day-to-day life. Okay, so next we're moving into your negativity card. So these are the things that we need to focus on in the next couple weeks during the waning moon before you get to the full moon on April 22nd. And the first are your tarot cards. So for your first one, this is something that you need to let go of. And this is the thought that there's somebody or something lurking in the shadows at all times. So there is fear attached to this card, but it's not overpowering fear. I don't feel like it's something that's really, that you're, really battling with or struggling with. It's just something kind of in the back of your mind all the time, that there's something constantly lurking in the, in the shadows that, could get you. And it's just more of letting go of thinking it's always around the corner, right? It's always right there, because it's not, right? So that's something to just let go of, those feelings that, you're just waiting for to happen. In your second card here, this definitely goes hand in hand with your first card. So the first card, you think there's something right there that, something lurking in the shadows and it can strike at any time. And then you have to let go of that. If it happens, I'm going to have this big battle on my hands, because you're not, right? So the lurking in the shadow, it's not lurking in the shadows. It's not going to strike at any moment. And if it doesn't, then you don't have that big fight, right? So you need to let go of the I'm going to have a big fight on my hands, and you're kind of like, you're preparing yourself for this battle, and the battle's not going to come. So you need to not waste your energy and your time on preparing for this battle, or, waiting for the battle to happen, because it's not going to happen. So we need to let that go. On your third card here, we have overkill. So am I talking to some of my stalker uppers that there's a bit of overkill happening? And that could be overkill in physically, so you're physically over preparing or overcompensating, or you're mentally over preparing, right? You're wasting a lot of your mental energy on thinking about that battle and preparing for that battle, and it's gonna take some time. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? This battle that's gonna happen. You're doing overkill and you're wasting your energy on it. Yes, it's nice to be prepared realistically, and having a general idea of okay, yeah, if you need to plan, I'm not saying that, but planning realistically. But doing the overkill, again, it's gonna if you're doing this overkilling preparing, it's gonna take away from what you should be focusing on, is your new enlightenment, your growing your creativity. Anything that's spent on this over preparing and worrying about this battle that's going to happen is going to take away from that. So you need to let that go so you can focus on what you actually need to focus on. For your C Melodies card, we have rescue, help others in need, or ask for assistance when you need it. So because we're looking at negativity, we're going to be looking at that card actually in the opposite. So this is, you don't always have to help people if you don't have the energy or the resources to do it. All right. And if you need the help, like, don't get me wrong, if you need help, obviously ask for it. I'm not saying that at all. But I think this card is just kind of saying, if you're being stretched too thin and you don't have the time or the resources, then don't give what little you have away. You still need to take care of yourself. Just, you can't overstretch yourself, because you're the one that's going to, have difficulty in the end. And for your fortune telling card, we have the snake indicates calamities and a degree in which they're governed by the distance of the card from the person. So these readings are a little bit more based on when you're doing a full fortune telling read. So the snake is looking at calamities. So because we're looking at the negative side, we're looking at the opposite. So the calamity that you think is coming is not coming. And again, that points back to our tarot cards of you need to let it go that you think it's coming and you're over preparing for it because it's not coming. Okay, so you need to let go of that. You need to let go of that energy and let go of that mindset. So last but not least, we have our Geminis. So remember, these first two cards are based on the full moon. So these are things that we need to focus on and be grateful for that are in our lives right now before we start focusing on the negative. So in the full moon, I always say 3 days before, 3 days after. So it could be something that you've already been kind of becoming aware of and growing, or it could be coming in the next few days. So for your first card, the Love and Light card, we have a happy home. My people will live in safety, quietly at home. They will be at rest. So if that doesn't speak to the current situation, I don't know what does. So I am assuming you are staying at home and doing what you're supposed to be doing to protect yourselves. And I feel like with the happy home is like, yes, you're in this situation, you know, you're stuck together and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Or you may be, you know, living alone, and that's okay too. But you're content with that situation. You're not overly stressed about it. You don't feel like you're being too affected about it, you know, in that situation, because you're happy, you're healthy, you're being protected, and you're very content with knowing that. For your chakra card, we have facade. So I think this is definitely, because we're looking at the positives, we're looking at you're losing that facade, right? You've lost that facade of, you know, pretending that everything's okay, or that, you know, not realizing maybe during the beginning of the current situation, you maybe didn't realize exactly how severe it was, or you're just kind of didn't really, you know, pay much attention to it, but that facade is kind of gone now. And because that facade is gone, you are better equipped and you're more accepting of the current situation, which is obviously helping you deal with the current situation better. So with these two cards together, I see this as what you need to be grateful for during this current time is that you are dealing with the situation as well as that you are healthy and in your home, and, you know, your family is kind of being protected in your home, and you're happy to be together and things like that. And just taking a moment to be grateful for just being in that space, in that mindset at the time. So next we're going to be looking at your negativity cards. So these are all things that we need to work on letting go of now that we're moving into the waning moon before the full moon on April 22nd. So first we're going to be looking at your tarot cards. So this is your first one. So what this tarot card is showing me is you're fighting, but you don't know what you're fighting, right? You're blindfolded, and you're wasting energy and effort on fighting something that you can't see or that you don't understand. So, well, what are you fighting? You know, what are you doing? What are you, you know, why are you doing these actions, and why are you doing, you know, these different movements if you don't know what you're fighting? You don't know how to fight it. So we need to stop fighting and stop working so hard, take off the blindfold, and really look at what you're dealing with and what you're trying to fight. So what you need to let go of is that panic response of fighting just because you think you need to fight. But you need to let that go, stop yourself, and reevaluate what is actually going on in front of you. For your next card, this is a kind of like guiding in the light. So you're not alone on this path that you're going on in the current situations. You're not alone, right? You're not in the dark. You're not, you know, completely blinded, and you need to let go of that. And if you feel like you're blinded, or that you can't see in the dark, then you need to stop and look out ahead of you, look out for information, look out for resources, so you can better prepare yourself and be able to fight properly. And in the third card here, this is the feeling that you're going to be left to your own devices. Okay. So this may be a fear that's coming up that you know, and that's might be why you're in this reactionary fight mode, is because you feel like you're going to be left alone or left to your own devices without any help. And that's not true. And you know, it's not true. You're just hanging on to that mindset, you know, and that's what's driving your fear. So you need to let go of that, you know, I'm going to be alone. I'm not going to have any help. That's why I have to fight, you know, blindly, because I don't want to be, you know, left to my own devices and being helpless. So you need to let go of that mindset, because it's not going to happen. You're not going to be in that situation. For your Sea Melodies card, we have Strength. Stay afloat and feel steady and calm. So a lot of these I've been reading backwards, but this one I actually think it's exactly that motion, is you have the strength, right? You just need to stay calm and just staying steady and just doing the things that you need to do realistically, not overdoing it, or, you know, just doing things because you feel like you need to do something. You need to just stay calm, stay steady, and you will get to the other side. For your fortune telling card, we have the roads turn to the dark clouds, foretells misadventures, but far from the person, the evil consequences may be averted. So these I have been reading backwards. And this is where if you let those dark clouds come in, so if you don't let go of those feelings, if you don't let go of, you know, doing things just cause, you will bring misfortune to yourself, because it's going to cause more problems for you in the end, than if you let that go and really focus on what you actually need to do than what you're just blindly doing. So making sure that you slow down, reevaluate the situation, look out for resources that you need so you can make a more informed decision. Definitely do that. Then you will mitigate those misfortunes that you're trying to ward off. Because if you stay the way you are now, trying to ward off those misfortunes, you're actually going to draw them in more. Okay, so I know it's a bit of a fine line sometimes on, you know, doing it, you know, bringing it in versus like sending it away. But if you stay steady and calm and not trying to, you know, let those negative feelings and those, you know, negative outcomes that you're so worried about happening, if you do focus on them and you try to overcompensate, you will inadvertently bring it towards you. Okay. Yeah, so that is the last reading. So if anybody is actually at the end here, thank you for joining me today. And I know this video is a little bit mishmashed, but that's life. That's just what happens. And if you enjoyed this reading, make sure you comment down below and subscribe so you keep up to date with all of my new tarot readings and meditations. Thank you.